This is Jerome McQueen of Academics, the national movement to encourage our young people to choose STEM as career aspiration.
I had a really great biology teacher. She was like nationally recognized. She got to meet President Obama.
So this year I'm working with 3D printing, actually being able to use my skills from A&T to design things on the computer and actually see them become a physical part.
If you want to support Black-owned and operated businesses in the Grand Strand area and beyond, check out thenetworkconnects.com for a complete list of establishments in our local area. Our network connects Black businesses to community for a wide range of services, products, organizations, and resources that are viable in the African American community. You'll find a wide range of products and services that'll fit your needs, along with information about events and happenings around the local communities. Check out thenetworkconnects.com, connecting Black businesses to community. Thenetworkconnects.com.
Thank you for watching the World Community Magazine's Hour of Power Live on Facebook with your hosts Edward McQueen and April Garner.
Good evening to you. Good evening to everybody. All right. Wow. I'm your host, Ed McQueen, of course, co-host my sister April Garner. And welcome to our program today. We're coming live from downtown Conway, really live this time. From downtown Conway. So let's get rid of April. We're going to talk about not an institution, I guess, but an entity that's within Horry County and it's downtown Conway that apparently a lot of us certain segments of the city have not even heard of that. I think it needs to be heard. I think there could be some collaboration that could benefit everybody once we getting to know these entities that may be of value to the entire community. So, April, let's get with it. We want to start. We'll start with really downtown live. Hillary, Go ahead. Go ahead, April.
Yeah, Conway Downtown Live, and our special guest, Ms. Hillary Howard, who is Executive Director. Going to bring her on the screen now. Hello, Hillary. How are you tonight?
Hello. How are you all tonight?
All right. We're doing just fine. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show.
Thank you. You know, I laugh when you're saying that because every time someone asks for my email, I say, Conway Downtown alive, as in not dead, we're alive.
I never picked up on that. I really never picked up on it. But that's kind of rather ingenious to say, Conway's not dead yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
No, but you guys must be doing a pretty good job down there, and not just promoting it, but making sure that it's more than stable, more than just stabilizing, and we're not regressing.
That's right. Our organization was actually formed in 1986 to address just what you mentioned. During that time period, you saw downtowns across the nation really just closing up, rolling up the sidewalks, as we like to say. Because late 70s, early 80s, what you saw was this new thing, this brand new idea that we hadn't thought of before. It was the mall. And it's really hard to think about that now that, before that time period, malls, strip malls, they didn't really exist. They weren't really a shopping destination. So late 70s, early 80s, they started popping up all over our country. And you saw the centers of our communities that had been for generations the center of our communities just start to close,
Right. Yeah.
And a lot of downtowns across the country really tried to compete. And here in Conway, when you look back at some photos from that time period, you'll see entire sections of Main Street or 3rd Avenue were one store, painted one color, one stop you could buy anything you needed, because they were trying to compete with that new concept at that time, the mall, the strip mall, that destination shopping. And you also saw a lot of retirements happen. Folks that had been in business again, family stores that decided that it's not worth the fight anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So that's when the National Main Street Movement was formed in that time period to address what was happening across our country and our downtowns.
Right. So, Hillary, I want to, before I forget, I didn't write this down. I had some pointers to write on, but what can be done and what role can you all play in making sure that everyone, for lack of a better word, gets a piece of what's coming to downtown and how it can be better served? Of course, it would be better served if, when you diversify like that and make sure that everybody has a piece of it. So what is being done to ensure that?
Yeah, so, it was interesting when I joined our organization in 2009, there were over 50 empty storefronts in downtown Conway. So there were so many opportunities available in the downtown district, but we found that there was this misconception that, moving a business downtown, whether it be retail, professional, service-based, that downtown was more expensive than other entities throughout Horry County. And that's something that we've worked over the last decade to really address. The downtown is actually much more affordable and allows, in many cases, a lower, as far as a financial investment and a lower entry point, more budget-friendly entry point. We have a lot of folks that come downtown that have been running their businesses from their home, from their garage, from some other, smaller entity, and downtown provides that incubator to go ahead and launch a business. And we've seen that happen time and time again. And I think that's really the value, not only in our downtown, but in any downtown across the country, is that opportunity to launch in an established district in perhaps, you could launch in a larger scale if you certainly wanted to, but it allows you to come in maybe that 1,500 square foot price range. That's different than having to invest in like a big box store that might be 2,000-3,000 square feet and many more times that in the price tag. So that's something that we've really had to address, like I said, over the past decade. Right now in downtown, most of our spaces are filled, and it's exciting to see such a variety of things coming downtown. I think there's still a wish list for many of us. Certainly on mine is some sort of neighborhood market. I don't think there's anyone in the Conway community that would argue, more opportunities to serve our food desert are needed. And even if it was just a small market, that would be very beneficial. Obviously, the farmers market has addressed that somewhat, but we'd like to see that concept grow and expand. And the farmers market is a great example of what you just said. We have lots of folks that come into that farmers market. They'll test what's happening at the farmers market and then look to expand into the downtown district. So it's been really exciting to see the growth and the change. And like I said, when I first started, over 50 storefronts. It's a very different dynamic now than it was, 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, what kind of impact I've noticed that the peanut factory, is that the name of the
warehouse?
Yeah, peanut warehouse. Yeah. So, what I guess you're expecting big things as a derivative from that, having renovated that, a major renovation, my understanding.
Yeah, definitely. And if you come through downtown pretty much any weekend, you'll notice that the peanut warehouse, which, side fact, I always have to point out, no evidence that there were ever peanuts in the peanut warehouse. Tobacco, cotton, other agricultural stores, yes, but no evidence of peanuts. So I don't know how it got that name, but I always love to point that out. Being used for all kinds of events and celebrations. And you're right, it has just gone through a major renovation with the new owner there. And that's just an example with the renovation of that facility, although it's just an event facility, that brings so many different folks to downtown for different reasons. And what we have found is once they come to the downtown community, they want to come back. They enjoy, just strolling, to be honest. It's a very different environment than other shopping districts. So an event venue like that brings so many folks to our district, and they'll come back. And that facility with capacity of 300, it can host so many different things. And I think most people think of it just for weddings, but we've seen business expos, we've seen annual meetings, large scale conference, educational sessions. So that is just one of those event facilities. And you touched on that. We have quite a few event facilities in downtown that bring people in for a variety of reasons. Actually, our offices are located at the 5th and Main building, and that's owned by the city of Conway. They rent that out. We have anywhere from preschool trainings to wedding ceremonies to class reunions. So those numerous event facilities in our district definitely lend themselves to bringing people in to discover what's happening in our historic area.
Okay. April, you have anything you want to say?
Well, you were on a roll, so yeah, you're doing good. But I, as you were talking about that, though, I was thinking about, what we traditionally have seen, what we've traditionally seen in Conway, downtown Conway, in terms of the type of commerce and even the store hours and just the aesthetic of downtown Conway. And I know that has to be quite a challenge whenever you're trying to attract new businesses and events and things like that. Is there, are there any plans on the horizon to kind of shift, I guess, the culture of downtown so that people will have a little bit more of an opportunity to enjoy what's offered? I've heard people say, the stores close so early, and usually the only things that are open are the eateries. And when you go to larger cities, the retail shops stay open a little longer, and there's definitely more dining and other types of businesses to support that. But what's kind of happening with the culture of downtown Conway?
Yeah, so 100% right now. Most of downtown are individually owned and operated independent businesses that traditionally open at 9 or 10 in the morning, and they pack it up like 5:30, 7 o'clock if we're lucky at night. And I'm not gonna lie, it's driven me crazy for years.
Sure.
But we want to extend those business hours. We've tried evening events to extend those business hours. And I understand, because the same person that is checking you out is also going to be your accountant, is also your merchandise display person. I mean, so they're exhausted. I understand that. But looking at some other towns, And you mentioned big cities. We tend to look a lot at Savannah, Greenville, Wilmington, those types of markets that were where we were 10, 15 years ago. And what we see is that once you start bringing in, like you said, those eateries, those restaurants, those businesses that are extending those hours to later in the evening, then your retail tends to follow suit because the foot traffic has increased to a point where it can support those later hours. What we have seen in the past is when businesses would try to stay open past 7 o'clock, they're not even making enough money to pay the staff to extend those hours. But as you increase those eateries, all of a sudden the traffic is there. As Theater of the Republic continues to expand their shows, as more events happen at these event venues, all of a sudden that dynamic changes. So that's definitely a constant struggle, but I think that we are sort of pressing forward on that as we speak. And that's happened really, we had some trying times in Conway, right? We had Hurricane Matthew, Hurricane Florence, they closed the bridge. Then COVID came. It was just seemed like one thing after another. And the one thing that has really been impressive as I'm talking to other districts is when COVID came, they shut down, right? Nothing was happening in so many places around our country. And I for months sat on Zoom call after Zoom call talking about, oh, what are we going to do? Nothing's open. But Conway started opening back up pretty quickly. And what I saw even at the first couple of weeks of closing for COVID is our businesses already knew how to face that challenge because they had faced the hurricane, the flooding, the bridge closure. They were ready to pivot. And I think they rebounded much faster from COVID because they had experienced that in the past. Even when the bridge was closed for 9 months, that was supposed to be a 3-4 month project, many of our downtown businesses reported higher sales than with the bridge open.
Really?
They found that people were staying on this side of the waterway.
Makes sense.
Instead of going over there fighting the traffic, can I find that pair of shoes downtown? What can I get in our area? So they saw a huge increase in their sales, and that has, thank goodness, continued. But that was just one little step, like you said, to change that culture of downtown. I talk to people time and time again that they're like, they just don't want, especially in the summer. We just finished the summer. Obviously, they don't want to fight the traffic. They don't want to fight going over to the beach. And that is something that is going to directly affect, like you said, those hours, the variety, the business mix. We pull leakage reports on a regular basis to see what people are going outside of the area. And those are the types of businesses that we try to recruit to bring downtown because I'm not going to lie, we want everyone to stay downtown. We don't want you to go spend your money at the beach. We want you to spend it here in Conway.
Right. And speaking of everyone coming downtown, both Brother Edwin and I born and raised in Conway. Are you from Conway?
I am not.
Okay.
I am a Yankee. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's fine.
I came in 2007. I worked with the American Cancer Society for a bit. And Conway is actually one of my communities. I had Conway, Johnsonville, Hemingway, Lake City, and I loved Conway. And we purchased our home here, and I started with Conway Live in 2009. So I don't know where the line is that now I'm officially a local, but maybe I'm inching up a little bit.
When you start speaking in with a more of a drawl and. And we also, when we get excited, we start talking really, really fast. So our words kind of come together. At least that's what I've been told when I go places. But where I was going with it, when you talk about attracting everyone downtown, historically, and I mean, this goes without saying, and it's something that is just part of our history. But, typically there weren't any businesses that were owned or operated by people of color. And so I think the feeling or the sentiment was that downtown just wasn't a place for people of color. And, there were a few shops that we traditionally would go to. I remember when I was a kid, my mom used to walk me and my brother downtown to Abrams, to buy our school clothes or shoes or whatever the case is. And so, lots of people, especially in my generation, and I've heard from generations coming up, they really are thirsty for more diversity downtown. You know, they want to see more businesses that are represented by people of color or other cultures. And I think that's happening. You have the Caribbean Jerk restaurant downtown. You have the Filipino restaurant downtown. You have Fair Fashion and Formal Wear, which is a Black-owned business, major area right there. Shouts out to Charlene Butler. But but you know, as you would try to attract business, are you being intentional about also looking for businesses that are minority owned?
Well, you know, when people come to us, it's very interesting. So, you know, Conway Alive is not a real estate agent, but we tend to have information on available properties. What's different, I think, downtown versus Conway at large, and we talk about this with the Chamber of Commerce often. You know, we have a space to fill, and that we're trying to find someone that would come into that space, as opposed to, you know, we need more technology stores, so let's try and recruit someone that's, you know, has a technology business. And right now, the predicament we're in for most of our spaces, I mean, I guess knock on wood, it's a good problem to have, but right now downtown there's not many vacancies. So as far as currently recruiting businesses, I've got to be honest, we're in a very good spot. I think a good spot financially is just before something goes on the market that's even available, someone's already signed a lease on it. So I'd say we're very intentional in trying to fill specific spaces. And, you know, also definitely, like you mentioned with the restaurants, that's a great opportunity to diversify the downtown. But it's mainly tends to be, you know, we have a list of folks that have reached out that are looking to come downtown. It's like 20 or 30 businesses that we might work with for 2 or 3 years, trying to find a spot. We have a spot right now, probably 8 different businesses we have sent to them, trying to negotiate, a lease, but it's sort of a different animal. Again, like I said, it's not the strip mall concept that it's sort of a vanilla box that everyone can put their business in. So it is very challenging to diversify our downtown businesses. And also, you know, we'd love to see more of the Latino community included in downtown. That community is growing specifically in the Collins Park area. They have many successful Latino businesses in that section that we would love to see that community also moving into the downtown district. But right now, I think the limited just physical space ability really sort of is tying our hands and trying to recruit, widespread recruiting.
Right. So, and to that point, would you say that most of the businesses that are downtown Conway, if they are privately owned, they're also privately run? So you have like a ratio of businesses where the owner is also the operator and not necessarily.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm sure that's a challenge too. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And right now, everyone's looking for employees. We've tried to help, you know, broker even employee searches, but I know everyone's having that same problem.
Everywhere. Everywhere.
It's not just in the restaurant industry. I really think a lot of our downtown businesses at this point, if you walk through the door and you're breathing and you can say hello, they're
you're hired. Yeah.
And it's we're almost at Christmas. I mean, Christmas is the best season for those downtown businesses. So I think a lot of people aren't being too picky right now, whether it's employment or just physical space, because it's like, unfortunately, we came out of COVID pretty well, thank goodness. So they're trying to roll forward and keep that momentum going.
Right. Well, we have a question from one of our loyal viewers. Priscilla Fuller asks, how do we get more music events downtown, jazz and R&B?
Yeah. So our organization does Music on the Lawn every May. We're always looking for entertainment for that. One of the main things about Music on the Lawn is we like to have every week a different genre. So folks just need to send us their link, send us their demo, whatever they want to do. I know that Riverfest, put on by the Chamber of Commerce, is also always looking for a variety of musical acts. And we also do the Waccamaw Sportsman's Expo that has numerous musical acts as well. Now, those are really the only ones that we recruit music for, as far as in events. What I'd love to see downtown, and just talking about, changing that sort of downtown dynamic and culture, is I'd love to see more music incorporated on a regular basis in more of our restaurants and eateries with a nice variety. I think you have sort of a staple group of musicians that sort of rotate through some of the downtown businesses. One of my lists that I have with folks looking for space is someone wanting to open up a jazz club. We just don't have anywhere to put them right now. But yeah, definitely that's something that, as far as, public events, we'd love to see more variety, and we invite people to send us their information so we can review and listen to you and take a look and try to plug you into the calendar.
I'm going to pull up a couple of photos that were sent to me this evening, and if you will, just kind of, talk about what's depicted here. I know that there's a car show, and I love that car show that comes every year. But I don't think I met the beautiful young lady that's in the picture. That looks like the Trestle.
Yeah, that's the Trestle Bakery.
Okay.
They help us out with our chocolate walk each year. We've sort of pivoted a little bit away from those big, gigantic events. So we do a lot of what we call in-store events that, people tour around downtown and they visit individual stores. They get to meet the owners. Like you said, those same people that are behind the counter, they are usually the owner of the business. So that's a picture from Chocolate Walk, from one of our events where people tour throughout downtown. They go to about 40 locations and taste a chocolate something at every location. It's probably about 8 pounds of chocolate by the end of the day. That is usually the 2 weeks before Valentine's Day.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And you've done a wine walk too, haven't you? Wasn't there like a wine event? Yeah.
Yeah, so a similar concept. We do the Rivertown Wine Around. You purchase a ticket, you get your map and your wine glass, and you walk around to downtown businesses. You have a sample. Okay, not a full glass, a little sample. And
if you get enough samples, you're going to be gone anyway.
But that's about 18, 20 businesses participate in that. Again, getting you in the store. I shouldn't say store, because there's also a lot of service businesses. Even we have one construction company that has participated since the beginning. That's one of the favorite stops. But it's about forming those relationships. And oftentimes when I talk about someone coming into downtown and a lease is signed before anyone even knows it, sometimes that happens at those events.
And so this is the area, I believe that stage right here is in that. Yeah. So that looks like Special Blend.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have performed for us. They are just one of our favorite groups. The audience just loves them. They have such a great energy. They started performing with us in our festivals, I think it was 2010, and we've had them back pretty much every single year. So they did Groovin' on the Green again this year. So that is a picture from that. And then on the other photo, I think you got the head of the dog is cut off. So that's
unfortunately, it's Big Air, Extreme Vertical Speed.
Yeah.
Okay, Iron Dog. Okay.
So we brought in for the Waccamaw Sportsman's Expo, we brought in Doc Dogs, and basically they're dog athletes that they've been trained. They run down this huge ramp, and they have long jump, high jump, and speed retrieve, and they jump into this giant pool of water. It's a nationally recognized competition. They earn points. We were one of the places they could earn points, and then they compete for the national championships. So that was in March that we had that, and they'll be coming back this year as well. Like, that's what I'm trying to do, something for everyone. So
something unique.
On the lawn, jumping dogs, chocolate, wine, whatever piques your interest.
Well, that sounds great.
Great. So Hillary, have you ever had not an opportunity, but had to, because you screen the occupants, potential occupants for leases downtown, right? I mean, you do.
Yeah, I try to have that hand in helping folks. Yeah.
Have you ever had to turn anybody down? How many of them do you have to turn down?
Okay, well, no, because I mean, that's their own business. But I will say this, like, there have been some times in my career that businesses were not thriving. I saw them spending maybe too much of their own personal money. They weren't going to get ahead. That I've gently maybe suggested it was time to retire, or this isn't worth risking your entire lifetime financial success on this business. And also sometimes people just burn out. You can see people, with this, how many seasons I've been here, you see them burn out. They're tired. I like to form relationships with the folks I work with. I want them to be happy, whether they're running their business or not. And so sometimes, yeah, it's a delicate conversation, but it does happen.
So is there a specific time that you give them? For example, if they haven't made a profit in 3 years or 4 years, something like that, and then that's when you make your suggestions, or?
Well, oftentimes I'll have folks that are facing some challenges, and they'll come in meet with me. We'll try some marketing strategies. We'll try to maybe to change up their inventory or their services. We'll try a couple different things. And then, once they've sort of exhausted those options, sometimes it's time for that very delicate conversation to really, what do you want out of your life? Because I don't want anyone, myself included, to be unhappy with what you do every day. You should enjoy what you do.
Well, yeah, I was asking these questions because to me that sounds like assistance giving. No, I know, and needed so, and we want to let the audience know that that's available in the event that they want to take the risk. I call it a risk for opening a business downtown.
And that's one thing. If someone's interested in opening a business, I'll just tell you what usually happens. Folks will call me up. They'll say, hey, this is what I want to do. Do we have someplace I could be? And we'll have some conversations. I'll refer them to, any properties that might be available or even shared space options or anything like that. And then we have also 2 grant programs that we operate for new businesses out of Conway Downtown Alive. We do a rent assistance program. So you can apply for us to pay 50% of your rent for months 7 through 12. So once you get up and running, we'll come and help with that. And you can also apply for a facade grant that will help you make improvements to the exterior of your business. And that doesn't have to be just a new business. It can be an existing business as well. I know Edward Daisy Fair Flowers just took advantage of one of those grants as they redid the exterior of their business. And then after they work towards getting their space ready, we'll usually do a ribbon cutting, a big media push to get them open, to get them celebrated. Sometimes it happens a little too well because we have had a few restaurants that have opened and have been slammed the first couple days. So sometimes, we try to encourage the soft openings and different marketing and software choices to make their jobs easier. But it's very much a cycle, because what a business needs that when they're in year 1 is very different than a business that's in year 30. And it's very interesting to deal with those different levels of involvement and experience from the business owners.
So, Hillary, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of your upcoming events? This Conway Burger Week sounds interesting. September 19th to the 25th. What's this?
Okay, I'm so excited about Burger Week. Okay, so we've done this dine around that was like a taste of Conway. We've done Restaurant Week, and then, to be very honest, we sort of stole this from some other towns because we were interviewing folks do our website, and this Burger Week kept coming up on different examples. We were like, Burger Week? What's this about? So starting next Monday through the following weekend, downtown restaurants are offering specialty burgers, and it's anything from like a duck slider to Shanti's Pizzas doing a cheeseburger pizza, to there's a fried green tomato pimento cheeseburger at Copper's. I'm just going to eat all next week because it's delicious. But I mean, everybody loves a burger, so I'm really excited. Our great friends at Pepsi have helped us with that. So I'm excited. It's the first time. I might not be excited come, the end of the week because, we'll see how it goes. But I feel like it's something for everyone. And it was great that CCU, Pepsi, and Conway National Bank got on board to help us with that.
All right. And so you have an events calendar on your website, just in case anyone is interested in upcoming events in downtown Conway and you want to go ahead and plan your weekends or your weekdays. There's so much that's going on. Look at this, especially going into Halloween. There's a lot of great things that are happening that should be fun for everyone.
And the city of Conway at large, October is panning out to be huge in the city of Conway. We have something every single day in the month of October in the city of Conway that's a Halloween related activity. We have a spooky 5K. We have haunted boat rides. We have pumpkin patches. We have the Ghost Walk, golf cart parade. The Chamber's doing a masquerade gala. There is something every single day of the week in October, and it's going to be a fabulous, fabulous fall time.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Smack
yeah.
dab in the middle of that is the CCU homecoming parade.
That's
Right.
right.
That's
That's right.
happening. All right. You have Small Business Saturday coming in November. So, and the holiday open house getting us ready for Christmas, the city Christmas tree lighting, all kinds of good stuff coming up.
It's a busy time of year. We're kind of like the school year. We start when school starts and we go through June. So we're just headed into our very, very busy season.
Hi.
So that has kept you busy. Am I correct on that? I believe. So Hillary, it was said some time ago that was announced that, which was reported to us about a traffic situation. I'm trying to mend this, correlate this with the businesses downtown. That they were planning, the city was planning to have put a traffic circle somewhere downtown.
Yeah, there was some discussion. They brought in some planners for several different things. There was a bike and trailway study, the downtown traffic study, some infill studies as well. And the roundabout was one of the traffic calming issues that was discussed in that plan. It's been discussed with, I know the city's discussed it with SCDOT a little bit more, but well, it remains to be seen. I think that would be very far down the road, but it's an interesting concept to calm traffic in downtown.
Yeah, when it was reported to us, I had envisioned, like a typical circle. I saw one on Singleton Ridge Road where they just put one in not too long ago.
Yeah.
Is that the concept that was envisioned?
Right. And there's also one by Georgetown Tech and the CCU campus right there as well. It's taken a little bit of time, I think, in those neighborhoods for folks to learn to use it. There is a learning curve with it, but that was one of the thoughts to calm traffic on Main Street at 3rd Avenue, 4th Avenue, and 5th Avenue. And we do see in downtown, I don't think this surprises anyone, with Highway 905, there's a lot of log trucks, larger vehicles that come through there that are of concern for pedestrians. And something like that roundabout would calm that traffic, would slow that rate down, because that is a concern of we're a pedestrian district, so that's concerning.
I think that would be ideal at that point, around 905 and around in the back of Jerry Cox, someplace around there.
Yeah. Well, once you put one in, you have to figure out how you can sack the traffic for the other. So
yeah, I'm aware of that.
I'm not the engineer on that.
That's true. That is true.
Well, Hillary, there's a question from Cedric Blaine Spain, and it's pretty long. You can probably read it in the comments, but I'm going to kind of give the gist of what he's asking. And basically, he talks about how I think he's referring to you when he says CDL received an estimated $50,000 and some other funds for events, and on the lines of being intentional, he's wondering events such as MLK Day, African American History Month, Juneteenth. What are the plans to create or recognize, create events to recognize these holidays with maybe street flags to attract citizens and visitors to events that are happening downtown? So can you tell us what's been happening as far as creating some events around those holidays?
Yeah. So we received through the city of Conway, they offer economic development grants every year. And so we were lucky enough to receive 2 grants this year. One for the Teal Town Gown Initiative, the Fill the Teal Initiative, that helps strengthen and tie Conway and downtown to Coastal Carolina University. And the other was to further extend the Waccamaw Sportsman's Expo, which we introduced last year. So we were very excited to receive both of those. As far as, the different activities happening around MLK and African American History Month, Juneteenth, we saw this year I think the second year, if I'm not mistaken, a Juneteenth celebration in downtown. So I'm hoping those continue to grow as well. I do think that the incorporation of the Gullah Geechee Community Heritage Days has helped strengthen the support of those types of events in the downtown community. MLK Day, I do agree that, a lot of those activities are happening at Myrtle Beach right now. We don't see a lot of representation for MLK Day here in Conway. And just comparing to like Veterans Day, you know, something similar could easily take place just like the veterans are honored. So I'd like to see more of those ideas incorporated to those recognitions events downtown. Absolutely.
Well,
And-
maybe if you work, I don't know if it has been done already, but maybe a deeper effort by whomever's concerned from downtown with parts of the community to make sure that we can compete with Myrtle Beach and like MLK Day, okay,
Right.
Stuff like that. So I don't expect you to come up with a suggestion right now, but I'd like for you to keep those thoughts in mind that when it comes around again, to kind of share with us some efforts that you think would be beneficial to make it happen.
Well, and
I think
that's
it'd
one
be
of those
great.
things that we do a lot is, you know, a group will come to us and they're trying to plan an event, an activity, a ceremony. And we do so many events downtown. It's easy for us to guide those groups through the special event process, through getting that insurance process. So that's something, again, like you said, in sort of in our programming and our assistance, we're always happy to help groups through that process. It can be intimidating, but it's really not, and it's a fairly easy process. So we're always open and excited to partner with people to help with that.
I think one thing that our people can consider as we're trying to introduce events and I guess special happenings that are surrounding holidays that typically aren't celebrated, in terms of bringing in the masses and having greater exposure or whatever. Conway does have its own MLK event, and there's actually a Conway Horry County MLK committee that puts on some things. But as you're talking about it, my thought is there needs to be a spirit of collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
In order to make anything like this happen, especially if it's something that is not typical for an area. Right. And so, for example, when we think about African American History Month, as he says, as Cedric mentions, as everybody knows, is February Black History Month, what we call it. But then also Juneteenth. Sometimes festivals are just too large for one organization to pull together, especially if they don't have the leverage and the established foundation to really make it what it's supposed to be. So, my charge to the community is with, everyone who has great ideas, come together and figure out how you can do it. But you have to plan early. Like now should be the time when you're planning for something like that, and pulling together all the information, making sure you can afford the insurance, making sure that, you have the vendors and all of that good stuff, if that's what you want. Because, I think that sometimes events are kind of rooted in just having a festival, but what he's mentioned, MLK, African American History, Juneteenth, these are historic in nature, in terms of an opportunity to educate the public about these things that typically either aren't taught, they don't get as much exposure, or only a select group of people or a very confined group of people, meaning the African American community, have some thoughts or ideas or even knowledge of why these holidays even exist. So I guess the question for you is, if you see that there is a group that wants to collaborate and, they want to pull together something nice to educate the public about African-American history or Juneteenth or any other holiday that's typically not a part of the culture of Conway, is Conway Downtown Alive the place to start to have that conversation to see what's feasible?
I think that'd be a great place to have a conversation. And you hit the nail on the head. Often, I think sometimes those conversations are happening a little too late. Like I can tell you right now, if you're planning something for anything through the end of 22, it should have been done now. It should need to be done before September 1st. Mm-hmm. So, if you're looking forward to, celebrating in February, so I'd say you have about 4 more weeks to have that all done. Mm-hmm. And check all the boxes. So I think that is one of the biggest challenges that our organization also faces in partnering sometimes is we need the lead time as well.
Mm-hmm.
We love to partner because it takes all the work off everyone.
Right.
Absolutely.
But our lead time is about 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of what we're looking for when we're having those conversations is, where are we in the schedule of events? But even if it's not going to work out for this year, doesn't mean you can't plan for 2023, 2024.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that happens all the time. And, that's what happened originally with Gullah Geechee. It was supposed to be every other year. Now we're doing it every year because once you got a plan rolling, once you got all the parties together, it's not that difficult anymore.
Right.
After 2 years, it comes together beautifully. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're definitely looking for, groups that are ready to put some plans on paper and start moving forward and getting those events and those educational processes on the calendar.
Yeah, and I think to Cedric's point, that is definitely a way to attract a more diverse group of people, visitors, even just Conwayites who, like I said, traditionally have felt like there's nothing in downtown Conway for me. Well, if there are very organized events that resonate within the community and even in the Hispanic and Latino community, then you're going to see more people coming in and feeling more comfortable with being in the downtown area, and they also will see that the variety means that they're welcome. So I think that's great. And so Cedric, how about get together a group of us and let's start planning some stuff like tomorrow so that we can have some things going in 2023, because MLK Day is coming up.
That's right.
And Black History Month, so we've got a little time.
We have a little time.
Yeah, so Travis Overton, one of our favorites, Hillary's doing amazing things in Conway downtown, better place because of her vision. That's awesome. Right. Thank you, Travis, for watching tonight. And Hillary, I tell you, we have really enjoyed listening to you tonight, talk about the things that are going on through Conway Downtown Alive. And, I'm sure that there's a bigger picture and a bigger vision that you have, and hopefully Conway will continue to grow. I think the enhancements that have been made with the lighting and, the things that are happening to really change the aesthetic of Conway, it makes you feel proud. It's like, wow, our town is growing. It's progressive. And so hopefully we'll see more diversity in business downtown. I think that's really important. And, especially when you're trying to cultivate the entrepreneurial spirit in people around the area, and especially in the younger people who are coming up,
Right.
So,
absolutely.
yeah. So, continue to do the good work, and hopefully more businesses, entities, and organizations will reach out to you for partnerships and collaborations.
I look forward to it.
Yeah. So Hilary, before we let you go, what we didn't talk about was a master plan. How can you tell us, if you know, what's contained in the master plan relative to parking?
That's
okay.
a good question.
I just had this conversation before we went on tonight, actually, with the downtown business owner. Okay, so people always laugh because I always say we don't have a parking problem, we have a walking problem. All of our downtown could fit in the footprint of a Walmart. So if you park at Walmart and walk in and get your milk in the back of the store and check out, you have walked across our downtown.
Wow.
And when you think of it in those terms, it really sort of changes your perspective. Downtown, you're not going to park in front of the business that you're planning to go to. And isn't that great that you'll get to walk past and, take a peek at all those other places along the way? When we start charging for parking, not saying we are, but when there is a charge that becomes inherent with parking downtown, that's when you're going to start to see some other things triggered, whether it's surface parking lots, whether it's a parking garage, and we're not quite there yet. I'm not saying we're not moving there pretty quickly. And the downtown business owner I was talking with mentioned we have Airbnbs being opened downtown, being renovated. They hope to be open in the next 30 to 60 days. How's that going to affect the parking in the downtown district? But that's sort of what tips the scales, is when you see a charge for parking.
Right.
But I challenge folks to walk. walk and explore your community, especially now, like you mentioned, April, with all the improvements downtown, the lighting, the murals, the plantings. There's so much to see, even if you're just cutting through an alley. That's one of the things I enjoy most is, entering one little alley and popping out another side and feel like, how did you get over here?
Right.
A whole bunch of neat little passageways that I invite people to explore rather than looking for that spot right in front of where you're trying to visit.
I think one day, Hillary, the downtown is going to stretch all the way off of 4th Avenue and come all the way up 378.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a parking problem.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to be so busy. We're going to have a parking problem. All right. So let's think about that. Of course, we need cultural institutions to help in that matter. But that's another issue. We start talking about cultural plans for legacies that already exist. Like Whittemore, okay, the legacy there, and all those buildings that are now slated for either demolished or doing some renovation. Okay, let's just put it that way. I'd rather say renovation.
I think that is the consensus. Everyone wants to start pushing that footprint out in all directions. Well, maybe not into the water, but in all other directions.
Yeah, because the potential is great there. All up 378, which is, and you talk about satisfying your desire for or the need for parking. That would be all up down 378. That would be ideal when you want to open up a place of business. Okay,
right.
You have there's a lot of land there to work with, and I can't even. And right now, I know we're about to run out of time, but I couldn't. The reason why I asked you about the parking was that I couldn't even envision where the possibility of a multi-story parking lot would be downtown. I don't.
We have to be creative. We have some thoughts, but we have to be creative.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, okay. All right, April. April, you have any more questions for Hillary?
I do not. I don't have any other questions. It was a pleasure to have you on the show. I really enjoyed it, and
thank you so
can't
much
wait to see what happens in Conway in the future.
Yeah, the information that you spilled out is going to help make decisions locally on both sides of town and all over.
We hope so.
I'm sure. Okay, and we certainly welcome that. For planning for all entities in Conway, especially. So we certainly appreciate that. So again, we appreciate you coming on, and our best regards to all of Downtown Live, you and your staff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We enjoy what we do.
Yeah. Well, seemingly, and that comes with a good job. Doing a good job, you know what I'm saying? When you're doing a good job, when you enjoy it, that means
it much better.
Yeah, right, absolutely. So
all right. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. We really appreciate our watchers, and again, we're here every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. WCM Live. So we'll see you next week. We hope that everyone has a great rest of your week.
Absolutely.
All right.
See you next week, same time, 7 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you for watching the World Community Magazine's Hour of Power Live on Facebook with your host Edward McQueen and April Garner.